In this lecture, we are going to talk about static properties for PHP classes. During our last discussion of classes, we talked about creating them. As we learned, we cannot use a class until we've created an instance. This instance stores a copy of the property and methods from the class. In some cases, we may not need to create an instance. It's possible to access a class's properties and methods with a feature called static classes. Let's look at an example. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a link to the PHP Playground. Inside this playground, clear the existing code. After clearing the editor, create a class called car. Next, create a public property called brand. Feel free to set this property to your favorite car brand. Outside of the class, we can access this property by creating a new instance of a class. Let's create a new variable called myCar. The value for this variable will be a new instance of the car class. Lastly, let's echo the brand variable. Typically, this is how we can access a property. It's a two-step process. First, we must create an instance. Afterward, we can access the property through the instance. This is the default behavior of a class. But what if we only need the brand variable? We may not always need to have a copy of the class. Luckily, we can shorten the process by using the static keyword. This keyword must be added after the access modifier. Let's add this keyword after the public keyword. After doing so, we can remove the myCar variable. Secondly, we can replace the arrow character with double colons. Static properties do not need to be accessed via an instance. PHP will create this property after the class has been defined. We can access a static property right away. Let's try running the script. After a few seconds, the car brand will appear in the output. As you can see, static properties require less code. So, what are the differences between a static and non-static property? Static properties are universal, whereas normal properties are unique to each instance. If we had two instances of a class, each instance will be given unique properties. Modifying the property of an instance will not affect other instances. The same can't be said for static properties. We only have one copy of the static property. It doesn't matter if we had hundreds of instances of the same class. They'll contain the same copy. If we update the property from one location, all locations will be reflected with the changes. It's up to you to decide if you want to use static properties. They're not common, but they can come in handy from time to time. In the next lecture, let's look at an example from WordPress.